If you've just got a Quest 2, then here are some of the best life hacks, tips and tricks that you should be doing for the Oculus Quest to make your life better. From getting a clearer picture through to getting access to a whole host of free games and plenty of other hacks in between, all of these are guaranteed to be life-changing. Well, they should at least make your life a little bit better. So here are the world's, well, my top 40, yes 40, best life hacks, tips and tricks for the Oculus/Meta Quest 2. Stop unauthorized people getting access to your Quest headset by locking it. You can do that by setting a lock pattern. This is available in the settings of the headset itself under the security tab. Once you set that, unless you know the pattern, you can't use it. Free money. Who doesn't want free money? And anybody can get free money from their Quest headset. This is through the referral link. In the Oculus app on your phone, click on your avatar logo and there is a referral link. Click on that and you will get a unique URL. If you share that with a friend and they then go and buy a Quest headset, both you and your friend will get $30 of credit in the App Store once they've activated their headset. You can do that up to 5 times a month, so if you know a lot of friends, that's a lot of money. When you're playing on your Quest headset, you can get a little bit turned around and not really know which way is forward, backwards, left or right. If you hold down the Oculus button on your controller, it will reset the center of the game or the center of your view to right in front of you. It's a great way to centralize and get your bearings back together again. It is important to look after your eyes because let's face it, the screen isn't exactly too far from your eyes itself, so you can enable a night mode if you want to play into the night. This acts a little bit like a blue filter and reduces the amount of harmful blue rays that is going to hit your eyes. If you go into the quick settings of your headset, then there is a sun icon, turn that on and that will enable the blue light night mode. You will notice the colors change a little bit yellow. That is the consequence of turning that on though. Still, what's more important, the color or your eyes? Flicker-free, smooth gameplay is super important, and by default the Quest isn't running as fast as it could. It runs at 90 Hz by default. It can run at 120 Hz. That will give you even smoother, buttery gameplay. It does that though at the detriment of battery life, and sometimes in some games performance will suffer a little bit as well. Still, generally it is worth turning it on. So go into the settings of your headset, go to the experimental tab, and there is a 120 Hz toggle. Make sure you turn that on. If it does make some of your games go funny, then just go back into the menu setting and turn it back off again. If you want to see the environment around you and get your bearings for where you actually are, then normally you just take off your headset. Now you don't have to, because now you can just tap the side of your headset and the cameras will show you your outside world. This is called double tap pass through. You can turn this on in the settings of your headset. So go into your settings, go to the Guardians tab and turn on the double tap pass through. And now you can see the world around you. To turn that off again, just double tap the side of your headset again and then you're back in your game. Show your mates your best move by taking a screenshot. Hold down the Oculus button and the trigger button of the right controller for about a second and it will take a screenshot of what you're playing. Looking after your lenses and making sure they're in the right position are crucial to making sure you get a clear picture in your games. First up, make sure they're in the right position. The Quest itself has 3 different positions for the lenses, 1, 2 or 3, which equates to 58, 63 or 68 millimeters. That's the distance between both of your eyes, which is called your IPD. Now, if you don't know what your IPD is, then you can go and get apps on your phone, for instance, like iMeasure, that will measure your IPD for you, and then just go and select the option that is closest to that measurement. Another hack you can do is that if your IPD is in between those settings of 1, 2 or 3, so the 58, 63 or 68, then you can actually put it halfway. Now it's a little bit of a jiggle, but you can kind of balance it on that halfway mark. So you might find that actually works really well for you. And it's not exactly something that Oculus tells you about. Or is that meta now? I give up. Please protect your lenses and make sure you do that properly. Don't go and clean your lenses with a woolly jumper. Make sure you use a proper cleaning cloth. Either something that comes with a normal pair of glasses or a camera lens cleaning cloth will do as well. You can also get lens protectors for your Quest headset as well, so they cover your lenses and stop them from getting scratched, and a lot of them have blue light filters built into them as well. You can also get prescription lenses as well, so you don't need to wear glasses when you're on your Quest headset. That can actually be really useful because it actually prevents your lenses or your glasses from scratching the lenses of the headset. Lots of options in that space. Don't leave your headset in direct sunlight, and that includes inside the house as much as it does outside. Those lenses can act as magnifying glasses and burn holes in the LCD screen that's behind it, so please put it in a case, put a cover over the lens, just make sure there's no sun hitting those lenses. The Guardian sets the boundary of your gameplay on your Quest headset, and you can actually change the color and the sensitivity of it. So if you're colorblind or you want the Guardian to stand out more or less, then that's a good option. So in the settings on your Quest headset, there is a Guardian tab. Inside there, you can change the color to blue, which is what it is by default, and you can also change it to purple and yellow. You can also change the sensitivity of it. This is incredibly useful in fast-paced games where you might not want it showing as often as it normally does. Even with the Guardian turned on, there's no guarantee you're not going to punch someone in the face as they walk past you. So in order to help with that, there is Space Sense. This will show an outline of anyone that invades your Guardian space whilst you're playing. This is super useful because I've got kids and dogs and cats, and they all have a habit of trying to walk through my feet as I'm playing. And adding on top of that, you can even add your furniture into your VR space as well. So in the experimental tab in your settings, there's an add sofa into VR option. That allows you to then draw out your sofa in real life, and then that sofa then appears in your virtual life. Now, whilst you're not going to use that for every single game, for things like sitting back and watching a movie, it's a really cool addition to start adding your real life into your virtual one. If you don't have a third-party controller grip cover like this one, then you can change the default wrist strap that comes with the Quest 2 out of the box into a makeshift hand grip. Simply take the strap off the base, wrap it around the ring at the top, attach it to the base again, voila, makeshift grip strap. And you don't even need controllers because you can control the home screen and some games with your hands. You can do this by enable hand tracking. Go into the settings, go into the hands and controllers section and turn on hand tracking. You can also enable auto tracking, and it will then switch between the controllers and your hands because it knows whether you've put your controllers down or not. Doesn't work in all games, but in the games it does work in, it's pretty cool. You can install games from your phone. So if you've got the Oculus app on your phone, then you can browse the Oculus store on there, find what you want, and then once you've found the game that you want, simply click on Install to Headset or Install to Oculus Quest 2. It will then make sure that the game is installed on the headset, because it's often easier to browse the store on your phone than it is on the headset. And if you've bought a game and you don't like it, then you can get your money back. If you have owned a game for less than 14 days and played it for less than 2 hours, then you can get a refund. AppLab games are experimental games that haven't quite made it onto the main Quest store yet, but are available in the Quest store, which sounds a little bit confusing, but what it means is you can't find them in the main page, but you can find them if you search for them, which isn't really helpful because if you're trying to find experimental games, then you can't find them unless you know the name, which means you know the name of the game. So what was the point in trying to search for it in the first place? Go to the SideQuest website where you can find a tab which will show you all the AppLab games that are available. Then you can just browse that to your heart's content, find one that you like, and when you click on the link, it will then send you to the main Oculus store where you can then install the game on your headset. And when you are looking at games, make sure that you pay attention to the comfort rating. So this is a rating from comfort to intense that tells you how, well, I guess comfortable a game is. So the more intense games are going to make you feel maybe more slightly nauseous and motion sickness than if you had a more sedentary game where you just sat down. Echo VR is probably a great example of a game that makes you feel nauseatingly sick because you're in a zero-G environment, where if you sat down and played Cubism, not so much. So just make sure you pick a game that's suited to how much VR experience you've had. You can share your apps and games with up to 3 other people on your headset. So they don't have to go and buy the game, they can just use your copy because you've gone and bought it already. So in the settings on the headset, go into accounts and go on app sharing and turn that on. That will then take you through a process to go and add someone else's account. That person, when they log in, will then also have access to all the games that you've got. So if you're a group of close friends or family, it's a great way where one person can buy the game and many people can play. Bear in mind though that it is a one-way street. So only the people that have been added can use the games of the master account holder. The master account holder or the first user of the Quest headset can't use the games of the people that you add later. If, however, rather than share a game, you'd rather buy a game for a friend, well, you can do that too. When you're in the App Store and on the game page of the game you want to buy for your friend, click on the 3 dots and there's a buy for a friend option. When you fill that out, it will send a unique code to the email address that you enter, so your friend essentially gets that game for free because you bought it for them. So as well as games off the main Quest store and also the AppLab games, you can also sideload games onto your Quest headset as well using SideQuest. This gives you access to a whole wealth of games outside of the Oculus Quest Meta ecosystem that you otherwise wouldn't have access to. Now, in order to set this up, you will need to go and create a developer account, install some games, and the step-by-step process for this is outside the length of this video. However, I and plenty of other people have done step-by-step guides, so if you want to go and check that out, then make sure you check the link in the video I'll put in the description down below. It's definitely worth checking out because there's some awesome games over there. If you want to take playing extra games to a next level, then you can play PC VR games wirelessly on your Quest headset. Now, you will need a 5 GHz Wi-Fi router, preferably Wi-Fi 6, and a VR capable PC in order for this to work. But if you've got that, then you can use Airlink on your Quest headset to play the games on the PC and view them and play them on your Quest headset. You have access to some of the best VR games available. Half-Life Alyx is awesome. I do have some videos taking you through some quick setup guides of that, so again, I'll put those in the description down below for you. If you don't want to do any of that but still want access to more games, then I thoroughly recommend checking out WebVR games. Just go into the browser on your Quest headset and type in WebVR, and you will find some WebVR amalgamation sites such as webvr.directories, which shows you all the WebVR games that are available. These games run in your browser, and there are actually some pretty good games out there. I thoroughly recommend checking out Moonrider, which is kind of a bit like Beat Saber and a little bit like FitXR. There's a punch mode and there's like a saber mode as well. It's some really cool games out there and definitely worth checking out. It is actually amazing how well they run considering they're running in your browser. And with all these games on your Quest headset, you can eventually run out of memory. Now, you can go into the store and delete one game at a time, but that's a little bit cumbersome. You can delete lots of games all in one go. So in the settings on your headset, go into storage. It then lists out all the games that are installed. Simply click on all the ones that you want to delete, click on done, and then all of those games will be deleted in one go. You can change the virtual environment of the home screen really easily. Simply go into settings and system and personalization, and you will have a list of home environments you can select. Simply choose which one you want, which will then get installed and then set by default. And then the next time you go back to your home screen, it will change the home environment to the new environment you selected. And there are some really cool ones in there. So I'd say install them all and have a bit of a play and see which one you like best. And whilst you're on that home screen, you can also move the home menu. So if you find the home menu or the home bar too far down or too far up on your screen, if you get your controller and you point it at the base of the home bar, there is a line across the middle of it in the bottom. Hold your trigger finger down on that and then move your controller around the screen, and it will move that entire home bar around so you can put it in the best place for you. You can also create your own custom avatar, which will then appear in some games. So on that main home screen, click on your profile image, then click on Edit Avatar. You will then have a whole screen where you can go and change your avatar to whatever you want, your height, your weight, the color of your hair, your clothes, whatever. If you want to track your fitness in VR, well, you can do that now with the Oculus Move app. Install that from the App Store, and then you can set things like your maximum number of steps, maximum amount of activity or target amount of activity. It will track that, and you can set an overlay as well, so it will appear over the home screen and over games to show how you're tracking. Think of it like an Apple Watch in VR. There are a number of settings that are just easier to use in the mobile app rather than the headset. First up, factory reset. Super easy to do in the app. Go into the app, click on the devices, click on your device. In the advanced settings app, there is a factory reset option. Click on that and it will factory reset your device. Something that we all hope we never have to do, but let's face it, at some time we all probably will. You can sync all the media files from your headset to your phone, which is super useful if you want to share your media then on social media or with friends or family, because let's face it, it's just a little bit easier from your phone. In order to do that though, you will have to go into the Files app on your headset first. Once in there, make sure you enable sharing. There's a cloud icon in the top right hand corner. Make sure that it is enabled and turned on. Once that's toggled on, if you then go into the app, it will eventually show you all of your synced media from your headset to your phone. If you do want to disable it at any point, you can do that by going into the Files app on the headset again, click on the cloud icon in the top right hand corner, and there'll be a line going through it, which means it's disabled. You can also use the mobile phone to connect your headset to your Wi-Fi, because it's easier to put your Wi-Fi password in using your phone than it is using the controller on your headset. So if you've forgotten your Wi-Fi password, your headset's become disconnected from your Wi-Fi for whatever reason, this is really useful. In the app, click on the Devices tab, click on your device, and then click on the Wi-Fi option. Then just select the Wi-Fi of choice and it will ask you to enter your password. It will then go and connect your headset to the Wi-Fi. Who doesn't want a little bit of privacy on the web? Well, there are some privacy settings in the Quest that helps with that. So inside the settings, there's a privacy tab. Click on that and you can choose how much visibility people have of what you're doing. So it will show you whether you or your friends or anybody can see whether you're logged on, what you're playing, and who your friends are. Now, it's not a massive range of privacy settings, but it is better than nothing. I'd like a little bit of control over how much Facebook tracks you, given that it's Mark Zuckerberg doing his Facebook thing at the moment, but we'll see where we go with that. For now though, something is better than nothing. And on the subject of privacy, please don't leave your headset on. Now there is the obvious thing of if you leave it on, it's going to drain power. You need to go and recharge it more often, which means the battery won't last as long. So that kind of preserves that side of things. The other side of it is, do you want a device that has 4 cameras and a mic array sitting as standby in the middle of your lounge? I would say probably not. So for that aspect and the power saving aspect as well, turn it off when you're not using it. Here's a tip, make sure your Quest 2 doesn't blow up. So a number of people have reported the charging port on their Quest 2 melting. Now this is largely down to using third-party chargers. So my recommendation is to use the official charger that came with the Quest 2 out of the box where you can. If you must use a third-party charger or a third-party charging cable, make sure that you use one from a known brand. If you're a power user and would like to use multiple screens on your Quest headset at any one time, you now can. So there is a multitasking mode. Inside the settings, the experimental tab, there's a enable multitasking mode. That allows you to have up to 3 screens side by side. So for browsing or YouTube or whatever, you can have them all side by side and do them all at once, if that's your thing. Now playing in VR is all well and good, but if you're playing and your friends around and they can't see what you're doing, well, it all gets a bit boring for everybody else. Fortunately, you can show what you're playing on a TV screen so everybody can see how bad you are at playing Beat Saber. In order to do that, you can cast from your headset to any cast compatible device. So that can be a TV, could be a laptop, a tablet, could be anything. To enable this, from the main menu, click on the sharing icon and then select cast. It will then give you a list of compatible devices that it can cast to. Select whichever one you want, it will then cast your screen to that device. It's a great way of sharing a gameplay with your friends and family when they've come round for a bit of a laugh. So the speakers in the Quest headset are okay. They're not exactly streaming audiophile quality though. So in order to get the best sound, well, get a pair of headphones. I know that sounds kind of obvious, but I don't mean go out and buy a pair of headphones, because you can get Logitech G333s and the G Pros that Logitech make as well have a Quest 2 variant. However, you don't need to do that because the Quest 2 is compatible with any pair of headphones with a 3.5mm jack, which is pretty much any pair of wired headphones. So really, the best pair of headphones you can use are probably the pair you already have. And if you've got a pair of headphones like the Logitech G Pros that have a detachable cable, then you can replace the really long cable with a super short one. I will put a link in the description down below for some short cables that you can go and buy. It really does up the immersive gameplay and is definitely worth having a look at. Various tips and tricks can only take you so far because at the end of the day you are limited by the hardware of the Quest headset itself. So I would say here's another tip: accessorize. Look at the wealth of third-party accessories that are available in the market. So if we look at my headset here, I've got a third-party head strap, I've got another facial interface on here. The controllers I've got have controller grips on them as well, and they really do make a difference to your gameplay. And I reviewed a wealth of them, so if you're going to have a look at my channel, there's definitely things that are worth having a look at. Which leads me to tip number 40. Subscribe to my channel. If you have enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more videos like this, then yes, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps this channel and hopefully gives you more videos that you enjoy and find helpful. So if after doing all these tips and tricks you want to pimp your Quest even further, then be sure to check out my video up here for some great Quest 2 accessory ideas. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.